The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello there. How are you today?
It's only in a control room, so I let a little early there. But welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And well, I don't know. Should we have a show today, or should we have a committee? Should we get a committee together to see if we can have a show?
I think we need another committee, definitely. I mean, this is getting to be absolutely ridiculous. Committee after committee after committee to do nothing, and no reports come in until after the new budget.
And we segued into our first thing. Amazing, huh? Good, nice transition there.
Hey.
Yeah, again, another committee. You know, it fascinates me, though, CJ. I really have to say, isn't it? It's amazing how in government we need to have a committee and a study for everything. You just can't, you know, if they're going to buy toilet paper, they have to have a committee. And everything takes months and sometimes years. And it's all, you know, and I go to Vegas quite often. And there was a period there in Vegas where I think I went 4 times in 1 year, and in 4 times there were 4 brand new hotels built. Every one of those hotels took a year and a half or less to build, and they were multi-billion-dollar hotels that are the size of a small city with shopping malls and everything else in them. It's incredible. They didn't need a committee. They didn't need anything. The guy just said, hey, this is what we got to build it. And this is what we got to do. And he probably got some bids. And by the way, I just read in the paper today that, again, they didn't go with the low bid on the repair of the treasurer's office. So that's another thing we have to investigate. But, you know, it's, you know, why does this happen? I don't know. You know, to me, it's pretty evident. Think about it. During the Lambert administration, every time the city, you know, did anything, regardless of how minute it was, the Center for Policy Analysis in UMass was called in for a study.
Amazing.
Amazing. And where did Ed Lambert fall when he left his mayoral office? He got a job at UMass Dartmouth in the Policy and Analysis Department, I believe. So, and then he transitioned into his really big paying job over at the state, because it takes him a little time to lay the groundwork for the higher paying jobs. And now we have, I guess the C in C. Samuel Sutter stands for committee now, because it looks like he is enamored with committees. We have another committee, a committee for the school. We have we have a committee for Department of Community Maintenance. And all these committees are going to take literally months to figure out what the problem is. Well, you know, guess what? I hate to say this, but we changed mayors because we wanted action, not committees. And we also elected, I thought, a leader. And leaders lead. They don't go to committees. I mean, you know, a general doesn't call a committee meeting if he has to attack an enemy. He has to make a battle plan, execute it, and make adjustments during the battle. Same thing on a fireground. Same thing at the, you know, people have to make adjustments to their budgets. We all know what was wrong. We've got a semi-working document, if you believe some of the manure that was in the auditing report that took 2 or 3 months to get together, because we all know that figures don't lie, but liars can figure. But why? Why now? All these committees to study everything. So we can say, hey, we're doing something. I got a committee. And I put everybody I know from the DA's office and everybody I know from the city and everybody I want to shut up on the committee. And ironically enough, that committee finding will be done after the budget. So what does that translate to into plain talk? It means that, again, we're going to get a budget that's not lean, that's predicated on fabricated numbers, and we're going to be on the receiving end of tax increases and fee increases and increases in our cost of living, while there's been no real effort to change and streamline government. So, CJ, I'll kick it over to you.
Well, you know, Chip, let's talk a little bit about those committees. But I want to lead out with what Thomas Jefferson told us a couple of centuries ago. When the government fails to represent the people, it is the people's duty to rise, revolt, and overthrow that government. We are a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. We are not a government of the Sam Sutters, for the Sam Sutters, and for his minions. And that's what Fall River needs to remember. But now, let's look at the committees. Let's talk about the waste management team. Okay, lovely little team that is. Co-chairs, not a chairman, co-chairs, Mike Mioza and Dan Botello. Mike Mioza has already publicly said that he is not going to make recommendations. Does this sound familiar? I think he said the same thing when he had the waste management team back a year ago. We're not going to make recommendations. It's up to the mayor. And the mayor said, fine, I don't care what you recommend anyways. I'm going to put in pay as you throw. Now, this team has on it wonderful people, great people, fabulous people. One of your very good friends, Chip, Rob Mellion from the Chamber of Commerce, obviously an expert on trash. Lisa Kaminsky, Chief of Staff for former District Attorney C. Samuel Sutter. Amazing how she's on like every committee. She's on the Transition Team Committee. She's on the Waste Management Committee. She's on the School Building Committee. Can you tell me what committee she isn't on? You have Ken Pacheco, a man who knows trash, and a man who can be quoted from a year ago saying, you know what, take this headache off my hands, privatize. Kenny and I had a conversation Monday night, and we spoke about what can happen and what should be done. And he and I came up with the same plan so that we can take trash by the horns and do something with it we could probably make some money with. And that is to create a transfer station and a materials handling station down at the incinerator. We could also enter into a private-public partnership. And I spoke with a local company which actually has one of those that they invested the $5 million to do. Great deal. That's what the city of San Francisco does. That's what a lot of major cities do across the country, and they make money on the deal. Why can't Fall River do it? Well, it's going to be $5 or $6 million. Hey, pay as you throw generates $3 million a year. So let's take that money and put it into paying for that transfer station and material handler, and then we won't have a bond. We'll have a short-term loan, and we'll be able to pay it off in 2 years. And then at the end of the 2 years, we could probably even get rid of the pay-as-you-throw. I think the people of Fall River might want to do something like that. They'd be willing to. Oh, hold on. Can't do that. Can't do that at all. You know why? Because the money from pay-as-you-throw isn't being used for waste. It's being used to fill the holes in the budgets across the city. And that's why it's going to be included in the 2016 budget. And after the mayor was asked at his press conference in regards to that, I said, are you including the pay-as-you-throw revenue into the 2016 budget? And his answer or non-answer was, I'm not committing anything to the 2016 budget. Amazing. Amazing. You know, and the funny part about it is our secret reporters and secret informers are all saying the same thing.
I know nothing. Nothing.
And we're hearing that all across City Hall, and we're hearing it from the secret agent man. Now, let's look at the 14-member committee, and it's currently only 14 members. We need more committee members.
Yep.
Members,
Let's hire a village.
yeah. We are going to hire more committee members to the Durfee School Building Committee. This building is 30, maybe 40 years old, and we need a new building already. Why? Why? Because the school department, Meg Mayo Brown, and the previous superintendents failed to put in their budget money to repair these buildings. Why? It's not our money. We don't care. But my friends need jobs paying $100,000 a year under grants. And then when they're gone, we're going to keep them on, even though they don't do anything, like a dean of students. It's a wonderful thing. But let's look at the listing of the people on this committee. Superintendent Meg Mayo Brown, there we go. School committee member Mark Costa, yeah, somebody that should probably be there. Durfee counselor and coach Robert Bailey. All right, I might give you that one. Special assistant to the mayor, Rob Bentleweski. Friend who got a job in city government right off the bat, day 2 in office, come on. Durfee vice principal Melissa Fogarty. School committee member Paul Hart. Lisa Kaminsky. Oh no, again with Lisa. You know she's going to be getting a job pretty soon. The new budget's going to have her in there. Steve Karam of the Karam Financial Group. Architect Ann Keene. Diamond Business Administrator Deborah Kenny. Durfee Principal Paul Marshall. Director of Community Maintenance Ken Pacheco. City Councilor Dan Rigo. And Assistant District Attorney Melissa Tafe. T-A-F-E. Why is the Assistant District Attorneys coming out of the woodwork? Carolyn Morissette, an Assistant District Attorney, is on the Waste Committee. Well, she's an Assistant Attorney. She deals with trash all day. But, I mean, why are we raiding the Assistant District Attorney's office?
Because you have to bring your friends over with you. That was the inner circle, and politicians normally tow the rest of their inner circle over with them. But the fact is, listen, we can't build a building in this city, right? All this bombastics about building a building and all these people, with all due respect, what is somebody that's a coach or a financial guru or it's a building. Steve Wynn doesn't call a committee to build a casino. He didn't do it in Macau. He didn't do it in Las Vegas for the numerous casinos. You get people who know how to build a building. You also write a contract with those people that they have to do the job correctly, or there are fines and penalties. But we see what government does to buildings. We saw the Big Dig, the biggest fiasco in the history of the world. In the history of this planet, there's never been more mismanagement and waste than the Big Dig. So, screwing things up politically is an art form in Massachusetts. We can claim the best screw up in history, the Big Dig. And let's look at some of the Fall River buildings. They choose to bottom line everything, to give their friends the contracts. We all know what happened with the original Durfee High School that they're rehabbing now. Somebody went to jail and a few other people, left town because of what the machinations of what was going on in the original Durfee. You look at the Candace Fire Station. When they built that, they came in over budget. They built a building that was planned to have climate control so the windows didn't open. And guess what? By the time they got everything straightened out, they were so far over budget, they couldn't put in the climate control. So you go to the Candace Station now, and it's 25 degrees on the apparatus floor, and it's 150 degrees on the second floor, because the building wasn't built to have that type of heat. It was built to be not to have windows open, and it was built for climate control. It is just, everything we build is a fiasco. The Flint Station is a space building. It's metal. How long do you think that's going to last ultimately? I mean, we have fire stations that were built back in the day when we actually built things. I mean, go down on the North End Fire Station, it's still standing. The thing was built in the 1800s. Go to Stanley Street. That station's still in operation. That was built in the 1800s. Look at some of the old fire stations, the old Flint station on Pleasant Street. It's been rehabbed. It's a fully functional building. We actually had buildings that could last more than 30 or 40 years. But, as you said, one of the other problems is that politics. They steal money from everywhere, including maintenance, to run the budgets and pay the salaries of their cronies. And we end up with buildings with lack of maintenance that need replacing prematurely. You know, it's horrific when you think about what goes on, and goes on without, you know, blanket outrage from the community. It's time for people. More and more people are paying attention, and that's great. More and more people are reading about it, going to city council meetings, watching our show, and doing a lot of things that are heightening public awareness. Because, you know, the excuse of I didn't know what was going on is not going to play in Peoria anymore. This community is in a critical stage. If we don't hold their feet to the fire to do the right thing, we will go into receivership, and it will be a lot worse. The fact is, we were promised transparent government, leadership, and good government. And so far, what we've seen is committees, stagnation, and nothing really. So we got rid of the mayor's, 2 lawyers from the mayor's staff. We're hiring out lawyers from the DA's office and contracting them, probably paying more. So the fact is, what have we really done? Have we eliminated any jobs that we feel are excess? No, we've been told that there's no fat in the budget. That's absolute BS. We can do a whole program on fat in the budget. We've pointed them out in front of the council more than once. So are we really trying, or is this business as usual? And I think it's time for the mayor to come out of hiding and talk to the people.
You know,
not buffer it with, just not buffer it by having committees and speaking through and saying, I'm not, when questioned about if it's going to be in the budget, with all the controversy and all the issues on pay-as-you-throw, now he's got a committee to what? Justify pay-as-you-throw? Last time I checked, pay-as-you-throw, that was supposed to be an enterprise fund. They're not supposed to be using that money to plug up the budget, and that's the reality. I'm sorry, CJ, back to you.
Oh, no, you don't have to apologize, Chip, because I was going in the same direction. Because remember, this mayor has said clearly to the people of Fall River that pay-as-you-throw is legal. So we're going to start enforcement in April. At his press conference, he said he is going to start enforcement in April. And amazingly, on April 5th's agenda for the Committee on Ordinance and Regulation, guess what's there? An ordinance to enforce pay-as-you-throw. The ordinance is faltered, though, because they put into it the price of the bags. They put the actual price of the bags into the ordinance. So when the bags go up after they emergency preamble this ordinance into existence, and you can say out there right now, thank you, Jazel Correa, Pat Casey, Ray Mitchell, Dan Rigo, okay? You can thank them because they're the ones that are going to do it. Regardless of what they think, they're the people that are going to do it. They're going to pass this by emergency preamble. At the next city council meeting, it will be enacted. Why? They're going to use one of the 4 reasons, and that 4th one is convenience. And the mayor is already set to go. Did you know that the city has a database of all the scofflaws, all the people in Fall River who don't use bags? They already have that database. And on day 1, all those poor suckers are going to be hit with tickets. All of them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And guess what? I know that people are cutting off their addresses and making sure there's nothing in that bag that they can cite back to the tenant. So who has to pay the fine? The property owner. So you know the property owner is going to get 1 or 2 tickets, and the property owner is going to turn around and say, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Hello, ABC. Hello, Waste Management. Hello, Frades. Come handle my trash. Because it will be cheaper to pay $23 or $24 a month to them than to give this city another bloody dime. Okay? And people say that's wrong. You need to support your city. When this city starts supporting me, I'll start supporting it. I've supported it long enough. The taxes are outrageous and the fees are outrageous. And this mayor said his first day in office, I am going to increase the taxes and the fees. They are going to be substantially increased. His first report, his phase 1 report, said that they need to raise taxes and fees.
Well, to quote Mr. T, I pity the fool who votes for tax and fee increases at the next election. So, because this is, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to burden the victims. The citizens of the city are the victims, like the fire victims of a reduced fire department, victims of crime, victims of every conceivable thing, while the city wastes its money hiring upper-level management and reducing services, and saying that the budget has to be paid and we have to do it, balancing on your back. It's like having someone that got hit by a hit-and-run driver and is in a full body cast, having them pay some of the bills and have the driver get away scot-free. It's just wrong. It's immoral as far as I'm concerned. Enough is enough. They don't seem to understand that in this city, the average household income is like $31,000, between 31 and 34, depending on where you look at it. We've said it a million times. But now we give out jobs that are more than the entire household income, double the household income. And then we go, the hell with it, pay some more. Half of these people aren't even going to pay for bags. And secondly, the bags are legal. Well, you didn't do it the right way. You did it for the wrong reasons. And there's nothing worse than being lied to. It just sickens me when I listen to them talk about how pay as you throw is helping because it makes people recycle. That's crap. People who don't recycle, too lazy to walk over to the recycle bin, they're not going to recycle anymore. People who recycle. It's not going to increase that number anyway. And it's secondly, who cares? We don't make any money on recycling.
We pay for it.
We pay for it. We're like one of the only communities in the world that pays instead of making money. We have all these options to generate money. We can get this new plant to deal with our trash. But if we get that plant and it pays for itself, will purple bags ever go away? No, they won't go away, because now it's become like the positions in the school department that are there because of grants. When the grant disappears, they remain. And pay as you throw will remain as long as we don't demand that we ultimately get rid of this thing. Or if we're going to pay this fee, we have to demand, if in fact you say, okay, I'll pay the fee. And you know something? I would pay the fee if I knew they weren't using the money improperly, they weren't mismanaging and misappropriating money. I'll use purple bags forever if you're going to earmark that money for public safety, for services, for jobs, not for managerial positions, not for supervisory positions, not to plug holes in the budget that you underestimated how much it was going to cost. It's just, this is something that's continued to happen, and it's just, and I'm really upset because I always take people at their word, face value. When elected mayor, our mayor said, there's a new sheriff in town, transparency in government, we're going to have leadership. Well, I hate to say this, but leadership isn't continuing to burden an already overburdened taxpayer. You've got a list of people who are arrears, and that list is very interesting because there are a lot of people who are on city boards and being paid by the city, who are still on boards and in arrears with their taxes.
And that's a political butt kiss. Let me tell you.
But you see, I'm not on that list. CJ's not on that list. We pay our taxes. I've paid my taxes for as long as I've owned my home. And I pay my water bills. And what do I get for it? Nothing. I don't get anything. I get a reduced fire department. I get crime in the streets. I got a city that's in the top 50 in crime, top 50 in heroin use. And I get a town that the answer to everything is burden the taxpayers. And before I turn it over to CJ, I will read that quote again from the New Bedford mayor, because I hate to say New Bedford gets it, and we don't, but they do. We owe taxpayers this. We will do everything possible to make city government more efficient and higher performing. Asking more of the taxpayers is much more acceptable if they have confidence they are getting their money's worth. We're not getting our money's worth. We're not even close to getting our money's worth, and we're wasting a ton of money. And I don't want to hear that our tax rate is low, because Newton has a lower tax rate than us, and those people make their average household income is $113,000, and they have 10,000 more businesses. Why? Because people have money in their pockets. So I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it until after the next election. Stop taking our money. And if you're going to take our money, use it for what we want it to be used for, essential services. Back to you, CJ.
Well, it's interesting because, they spend their money, ridiculously. When they opened this Durfee High School on Ellsbury Street, okay, I was one of the first classes that went into that building. It was falling apart day one, and now they want to build a new building. When that building was built, it was supposedly the latest and greatest in educational systems. The classrooms were open, it was free, et cetera, et cetera. It had already been proven that that type of system did not work. The new mega schools we have, and they're not new, they're pretty old now, by Fall River standard, those were supposed to be the latest and greatest. And guess what? They found that the megalithic schools are ineffective, that the neighborhood schools were what they needed to have. And so now the states have already gone back to that. Fall River will do that in 50 years because we're always behind the 8 ball. That's why our people don't move forward. And that's why Fall River is in such a cesspool. And the people of Fall River, you the people, you the watchers, the viewers, you are responsible for this because you don't hold these elected officials responsible. You turn around and say, oh, Leo's a good guy, Linda's a great woman, Mike's a good guy. No, they do this and they do it in front of your face and you go, oh, well, we need to have that done. I mean, nobody's that oblivious. Nobody.
Well, CJ,
I can't see that happening.
Well said, but I have to comment on it. I think that somebody, we were talking about money spent on parks when we needed money to be spent on public safety, and a few of the people who were involved in those things said, well, if we knew the way it was, we wouldn't have asked for that money, and that's baloney. They got their parks, and they don't really care. After the fact, it's easy to say after you got what you wanted, oh, if I would have known that, I wouldn't ask for the money. Yes, you would. But it's up to the people, as you said. People out there, we have an election coming up this coming September. Read, listen, learn, pay attention to what's going on. Stop burying your head in the sand. Don't be apathetic. The only way we can change this city is if we change it, because no politician is going to change it, because it serves them instead to keep the status quo. And I will close with a quote from Martin Luther King, because there's no excuse for what you do. Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. So it's up to you to educate yourself about what's going on. Watch Spindle City Straight Talk, read the paper, keep apprised of what's going on, and let's change this city.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you Friday.